Fox News contributor Charlie Hurt, former White House physician, Texas Congressman Ronny Jackson. Ronny, I've been asking you regularly about his cognitive state. To me, I think it's getting worse, and I think it's more obvious. And I don't think they're going to be it's not going to be so easy this time to hide him in the basement bunker. Your thoughts?
Well, they better start hiding him away quick, Sean, because you're right. It's getting worse by the day. And, I don't even know what else to say about this. I just thought it would be comical if it weren't so disastrous for our country right now. You saw when he was with Fetterman this weekend, the two of them were sitting there bantering back and forth. You can't understand either one of them. I think that, Biden is kind of the Fetterman whisperer now. I mean, he may be the only one that can understand what Fetterman's saying and vice versa. It's almost like they've created their new little language now that they must have developed somewhere along the way, maybe when they were tucked away in the respective races in their basement. But they've got to do something with this guy because, I mean, Sean, I know 10-year-olds. I know a bunch of 10-year-olds that could do a better job and inspire more confidence in what's going on in our country than these guys can. This is just I'm at a loss for what to say about this anymore. I mean, everyone knows what's going on. I mean, you don't have to be a physician to see the disaster that's looking us right in the face every day. And it's just we've got to fix it. I mean, yeah, but you're right. I mean, I just do not see how they can keep him as their nominee. This is a long ways out, and it's going off the rails.
Well, I mean, historically, people that have cognitive decline like this, it is degenerative, and it gets worse over time. Just a fact, I'm speaking as a non-doctor. Mike Huckabee, God save the Queen, man. Now, 71% of Americans think that this man is not aware enough, cognitively strong enough to be president, and half of Democrats don't think he's strong enough to be president. My question is, now, I hear behind the scenes that prominent Democrats, the chatter is building, but you're not hearing it so much across the country. Why?
Well, you said half the Democrats don't think he's competent. I want to know who the heck are the half that think he is. Those are the people I'd really like to interview and say, what does he say that gives you such confidence? When I was watching Fetterman and Biden together, I honestly thought I was watching a rerun of some old Laurel and Hardy comedy routines. It was just sad. My 2-year-old grandson makes more sense than either one of them, and he's 2 years old. But if it's about reading a prompter or making a speech, I honestly think I could put the kid at the podium and more people would understand what he was saying. This was embarrassing. And this whole thing of God save the Queen, maybe he's talking about the rock band Queen. And he's hoping that somehow, even without Freddie Mercury, they'll still be able to tour and fill the stadiums and arenas around the world.
You know, and Charlie Hurt, I mean, is this a backdoor, as Miranda Devine suggested in a well-written piece in the New York Post today about, for Kamala Harris, that most people are thinking that she would jump right in. Okay, but this is a woman who herself has issues in terms of giving a speech. She talks about the significance of the passage of time, So when you think about it, there is great significance in the passage of time. Never mind, it's time for us to be doing what we've been doing, and that time is every day to do what we do. I mean, the one that loves Venn diagrams or whatever. I mean, is she the answer for them? Because I don't think so. Because Mike Huckabee's cracking up. It's not the answer.
You need to be careful, or you're going to get hired to be a speechwriter. You're going to get hired to be a speechwriter for her. No, I think that's one of the real big problems for them is, what do you do with her? It'd be so much easier if they could just sort of take Joe Biden out with the garbage and replace him and have a backup who was competent. But I think, quite frankly, Kamala Harris would probably do even worse in a general or even a primary fight. And of course, this is why I think Democrats are so terrified of the rise of RFK, who's thrown his hat in the ring and then instantly winds up with double-digit 20% of the vote among Democrats, and probably would pick up a lot of independents and moderates as well if he were to run, say, a third-party campaign or something like that. But I think without a doubt, more of these polls come out that show Trump soundly beating Joe Biden. The Democrats, who are very, very, they're very good at controlling their party. And at some point, they're all going to have to get together, the party leaders, and make a decision about what they want to do. And if they do make a decision, I don't think that Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or RFK is going to be to their liking.
All right, so Ronny Jackson, let's look at RFK, for example. He's now steadily at 21 in the polls against Biden, and Biden's in the 30s. Marianne Williamson's polling 10%. I say that's pretty respectable on her part. Here's RFK. Takes a very different position than his party on immigration, on biological men playing women's sports, and on vaccines and COVID in particular. That has gotten a lot of attention. But he does seem out of touch with the base of the Democratic Party. But if you're looking for an alternative to Biden, he's probably your best option now.
He is right now, but I think, Sean, at some point there's going to be somebody from the progressive wing that's going to jump in and be the darling of the left. And they're just going to take off, because I think the Democrats right now are just anybody but Biden. And they're opposed to Trump, obviously, and at all costs. And this is just another example of what you're going to get, what you're going to let the country devolve into just because you don't like President Trump's style, even though his leadership was some of the best we've ever had. But, I think that anybody who gets in this race is going to do extremely well on the left right now, because they are just, I hear them talking behind the scenes, and they don't know what to do. They're at a loss, most of them. And this is a cover-up. I've said this before. The White House and the West Wing's covering this up. His doctors covering this up. And eventually they're going to call these people out and say, you need to get out and tell us what's going on. And I think, when that happens, it's going to be obvious that he can't serve anymore.
Okay, so there's been a lot of speculation since my interview with Gavin Newsom, Governor Huckabee. Now, I've known him for a long time. I'm the one that invited him personally to come on the program. To his credit, he came on. I thought he dodged a lot of important questions. One question he would not answer, and that was, how many times his phone gets pinged a day by Democrats begging him to run. Another one is, he kind of pulled back on the issue of would you, under any circumstances, challenge Biden. He tried to say no. He defended Biden as cognitively alert. I think he's too smart to really believe that, and I don't think he was lying. I think he was trying to be a good Democrat. That was my take, Mike Huckabee.
I think he gets a lot of credit for coming on your show. I mean, a lot of Democrats won't do that. They won't sit down with you, and that was to his credit. But truthfully,
Agreed.
He deep down knows that Joe Biden is like a pack of bottle rockets that have been soaked in water all night. They're never going to ignite. And he has to know that the worst thing for the Democrat Party is for Joe Biden to be the nominee.
Why are you laughing so hard, Charlie Hurt? Look,
because it takes Mike Huckabee to invoke a fireworks analogy, and it's a perfect one.
Well, he's from Arkansas. I mean, fireworks are legal down there, unlike most, states like liberal states like New York and California. But go ahead.
Right. No, it's a perfect
so what about,
analogy.
Let me ask you about Newsom. I want your take on him. Was it an accident he decided to accept my invitation, or is...
Oh, no. I agree with you. My favorite part of your entire interview was when he started waffling, when you asked him how often does he does his phone ring with Democrats pleading
by the way,
with him
he ended
to
that
challenge
exchange
Biden.
with...
He was not about to answer that.
He ended it with, I'm not going to answer that question. He actually flat out said it.
Right.
And I give credit for somebody to answer that way. Yeah. But
what's so great about it is it captures how desperate I think Democrats are to find anybody who can string a sentence together to challenge Biden. And he didn't want to admit that he gets a lot of those calls.
All right. I'll ask all three of you exit question, and that is, ultimately, will there be any prominent Democrat that challenges Joe? And do you think Joe will be the nominee in 2024? Ronny Jackson, you go first.
Somebody's going to challenge him. He's not going to be the nominee. He can't make it that far. It's too far out.
Governor Mike Huckabee.
I think somebody will challenge him. It very well could be Gavin Newsom. Joe Biden won't be the nominee one way or the other. He'll be either defeated or somebody will convince him it's time for him to step aside, go to Delaware, drive the Corvette, and go through all those boxes of classified materials that he kept.
Charlie Hurt.
I agree completely. I think that in the end, he'll be taken out by party leadership.
Okay, now exit question. Governor Huckabee said it would likely be Newsom. Ronny and Charlie, I want to know who you think it would be. Ronny first.
I think it's going to be Newsom. I mean, he's the one that's that's pushing the hardest right now, and he's coming from a big state like California. The progressive left loves him, so I think it'll be Newsom, despite the fact that his own state's an absolute disaster.
Charlie, last word.
I can see Democrats going with that as the consensus, but the real barbarian at the gate would be RFK Jr. I would love to see what he would do to his party.
And it would be interesting to see how many Democrats push Kamala Harris to be the one to replace him. All three of you are right. It will not be Joe Biden. Appreciate you being with us. Coming up next.